Micah Bell walks into camp. Immediately, everyone gets this weird feeling around him. He stares into the eyes of others, creepily. He's got this devil look to him. He's in love with killing people, making him even more evil than he already was. He doesn't respect anyone in his tribe. In fact, he betrayed them. He betrayed the Vanderland gang. He was a traitor to all of his loved ones. What a disgusting man. Arthur Morgan walks into camp. Immediately, everyone gets this good feeling around him. The ladies are in love with him, and they can't take their eyes off of him. He's got a charming personality, and he's really good at getting along with. He's loyal to everyone in the gang, including the rat, Micah. He'll do anything for his tribe. He'll kill for it, he would happily die for it. And that's what he did. Arthur died a noble warrior death, and he saved his friends in the gang, while Micah snitched them all out. Arthur died peacefully on top of a mountain looking into the graceful sunrise, while Micah died a painful, tragic death on top of a cold, dark mountain. And that leaves us with the question once again. Why did Micah betray the Vanderland gang? Why did he betray his tribe? Many other YouTubers have tried to figure out the truth behind Micah Bell, but I feel like everyone's just kind of bullshitting themselves, saying that, oh, he's not the rat, or there's multiple traitors, or that it was all a lie, bro. I just think people are overcomplicating this whole part of the story. If you look at the game from a retrospect, it'll make more sense, and Micah as a character will become more understandable. Starting off in the beginning of the game, we are introduced to Micah in a very subtle way. We kind of get this uncomfortable feeling once we meet him for the first time. Just something about him doesn't feel right. And this proves us right when later on in the mission, when we walk into the cabin and he is scaring this young woman out of her mind. And also this is the first time when we meet Sadie Adler. They are running around the house and she's scared shitless. Then Micah knocks over the table and the lamp, and the house starts burning down and they get out of there. Whoa, wait a minute. Micah burned down a house in the first 10 minutes of the game and no one remembered. He literally burned down one of the main characters' homes. And if you play this clip back again, it looks like he did this on purpose. What the fuck, did no one notice this? I didn't even remember this, what the heck? Anyways, moving on. Throughout chapter 1, we get to see his shitty personality, and he's very selfish and doesn't really seem to care about anyone else. He's a racist, and especially when he interacts with Linde in the camp. And sometime after Colter, Micah and Linde are sent on this mission where they have to return to Strawberry for something. And then Linde comes back a week later to the camp, and Micah ends up in jail. And it seems like no one really wanted to save him, since it would have not been a smart move for their gang, obviously, and since they really didn't want to. No one wanted to save Micah, so of course Arthur the Chad breaks him out. And the first thing he does is shoot his cellmate out of nowhere. And this all leads into this massive shootout in the town, and we push through the city, and once we get to the end of the street, he enters his home and murders everyone inside. All just for his guns that got taken away from him. Then we escape from the town. So at this point, I would just say Micah overall is pretty crazy. It doesn't seem like he has a plan on anything he does. He just acts. And he kills anyone he wants to at any time. He's kind of like the Wild West version of the Joker. And of course, we are in a gang after all, and we are technically the bad guys in the story. But I think Micah Bell is kind of further down that spectrum. But moving further on in the game, a few chapters later, when we go to Guarma, Dutch is losing his mind a bit, and in this portion of the game, the gang is in shambles and a lot is going wrong. There's a lot of confusion at this point regarding what happened to the other members of the gang and at that point, and who was a traitor after all, who betrayed the gang. Once we get back home and set up a new camp far east in the mountains, Dutch's wife Molly finally comes back after being missing for months. Walks in drunk as a skunk and basically tells them yeah, I ratted all you out. And she gets killed pretty quickly by Susan, and Dutch doesn't really seem to care. Maybe because he was going crazy at this moment in the story, or maybe he just didn't really care about Molly after all. Micah in chapter 6 kind of takes the lead in the gang as Dutch's right-hand man, which used to be Arthur, but since the gang is kind of breaking apart, at this point, everyone's just doing whatever. Micah has Dutch by the nose, and he's leading him down a dark, dark path. We know that Micah is evil. Even earlier on in the game, we know this. Dutch was never evil. He was a very loyal guy, but losing his mind and going crazy made him into kind of a monster. After believing that Molly was a traitor, both Micah and Dutch were trying to get control on everyone in the gang, so they would make it, obviously. After so many disasters happening and so much bad luck, Dutch trusted Micah with everything. And at this point is when people come up with really stupid theories in this point in the story. People are really confused and it's really dumb. Was there a secret traitor? Question mark. Bro, what? Micah Bell, not a rat. Oh, give me a break. Well, guys, I'm about to give you the full rundown, so buckle up. Just so that we're clear, Molly at this point was thought to be the only traitor. Micah and Dutch are trying to get more money, while Sadie and Arthur are kind of trying to just save everyone in the gang and trying to get everyone home, because at this point a lot of people are leaving and a lot of shit's going wrong. And something about Micah in this chapter feels weird, more than usual. He's acting like he's in a hurry or something, and he's really nervous. At the end of this chapter, we have this last train robbery, and then we're done. We're out of there. So this is like the last hurrah, and after this, hopefully we'll make it. After Abigail has been kidnapped, they have to decide whether to save her or to escape. Micah insists that they must get out of there, but Arthur can't leave her, obviously, because that's his friend. So of course, Sadie and Arthur go ahead to Van Horn to save Abigail. They get caught by Agent Milton in the process, and take a listen on what he says here.
Old Micah Bell?
Micah? You mean Molly?
Molly O'Shea? Sweated her a couple of times, never talked a word, had to let her go. Micah Bell. We picked him up when you boys came back from the Caribbean, and he's been a good boy ever since.
So yeah, Agent Milton basically confirms that both Micah and Molly were traitors. And the truth about Molly is that she did love Dutch, but Dutch throughout the game didn't really seem to care about her. They barely interacted in the camp, and in the story, even when she died, Dutch still didn't care. It makes complete sense that Molly told the cops about the St. Denis heist, because no one in the gang really cared about her. She was just kind of like this lonely cat who never got pet. And it seems like for Micah, when he returned back from Guarma, because if you remember, we all had to come back separately from Guarma, and the whole state was looking for us, that's why. So when we returned back to the US, the Pinkertons got a hold of him, it seems like. And it exactly wasn't revealed what Micah told the cops, and a lot of people were theorizing that Milton was lying at this point, but I don't think that this makes a whole lot of sense. Agent Milton doesn't seem like a liar by any means. He seems pretty honest and true to his word, even though he's really cruel. When we first meet him in chapter 2, he tells us that he killed one of our friends in the gang. And when in chapter 4, when he's outside the bank and he says, "Oh, I'm gonna shoot Hosea," and he actually does shoot Hosea. So by no means, I 100% don't believe he's lying at this point when he says, yeah, Micah told us some shit. And when we return back to the camp after this whole situation, Arthur calls up Micah saying like, yeah, he was a rat. That's the rat right there. Micah responds, that's a goddamn lie. They have a face-off, and as soon as Susan gets the shotgun, Micah quickly kills her. The face-off becomes bigger and bigger when John and Arthur are against everyone and all their old friends. There's a big shootout that happens in the mountains, and Micah or Arthur end up into this huge fist fight. As Micah is punching Arthur, he says,
I got you now, Black Lung! Rat! You rat! I'm a survivor, Black Lung! A survivor! That's all there is! Living and dying!
Eventually, when Dutch arrives, Arthur pleads out to him that he was the rat. Micah is begging Dutch to go with him. They must escape now or that they will die. Dutch looking around as his two favorite sons are dying and against each other. And something about Micah here is really interesting, and we're going to point this out. We all know that Micah doesn't care about anyone, and not even his brother, which is a kind of a different topic for another video. But anyways, you can tell that Micah is actually sad about Dutch here. Even though he used him, Micah still looks up to Dutch as his father figure. And it's pretty ironic since Dutch ends up being the one who shoots him. And this leads us with the question again, why did he betray the gang? Some people were saying that he was planning the betrayal ever since Blackwater. And to that, I say you're full of shit. Throughout the whole game, what I've been explaining is that Micah is pretty wild. He does a lot of chaotic things, and sometimes on purpose, sometimes on accident. And burning down Sadie Adler's home, murdering everyone in Strawberry, and even killing Susan out of nowhere. He doesn't have a plan on what he does, he just does whatever. And like I said before, all we know is that he is evil. We all know that he's a bad person. When the cops picked him up from Guarma, he simply just saw an easy opportunity to set himself free. It was never the plan to betray these people on purpose, since the gang was obviously starting to fall apart, and a lot was going wrong. Dutch was going crazy. He made a simple move on the chessboard that would only benefit him and hurt everyone else. Even though he was the rat, he did care about Dutch, even a little bit. I mean, they were each other's right-hand man, so of course he does care about him. But a few years later, Dutch and John kill him. And you know for sure once Dutch shoots him, he instantly felt betrayed, just like how Arthur felt once he betrayed the gang. So at the end of the day, Micah and Molly were both rats, but of course mostly Micah. Even from the start, he never cared about anyone in the gang. We know that he was evil, not bad, but evil. And it's a shame what happens in the story, because if Micah wasn't a part of this gang, we might have made it out. Okay, and that, my friends, is my deep dive into Micah Bell. Let me know what you guys thought, and did I miss anything? Did I get anything wrong? Am I full of shit? Let me know in the comments, and if you're new, subscribe. Check out my other content, and if you made it to the end, I just want to say you are amazing. You are an Arthur, not a Micah. And check out the video on screen now where I talk about the chaos of Red Dead Redemption 2's open world, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.